Two leaders, two economic philosophies, two completely different ways of handling power. At the center of the trade debate stands President Donald Trump, a leader who believes leverage comes from pressure. And standing across the aisle of global leadership is Prime Minister Mark Carney, a leader who believes stability creates strength.
We're getting a better look today at just how much President Donald Trump's tariffs are transforming U.S. trade.
Trump does not view trade as abstract theory. He views it as scorekeeping. If one side appears to be gaining more, he sees imbalance. And imbalance demands action. But across the political landscape, Mark Carney approaches the same environment differently. Carney's background is rooted in finance and central banking. His instincts are not built around confrontation, but around risk management and system stability. While Trump speaks about correcting unfairness through forceful measures, Carney speaks about strengthening resilience through policy coordination.
Prime Minister Carney is spearheading the discussions with the EU and the Indo-Pacific nations as some kind of a bigger deal without the United States, that Canada can help broker a bridge between them. What is the importance for Canada, for these other nations, of trying to forge alliances where they can, on deals that they can't make with the United States?
And as a result, the bully gets left out in high school. And right now, the United States is the bully. So, that's a sort of very clear, should have been obvious before the fact. You've also seen, and I think this is the point you're making, that yes, this starts as a set of trade issues, but it becomes geopolitical very quickly. And the one thing, as much as I said some of the Canadian boycotts may not be resonating with the broader American public, the number of people who've talked about Prime Minister Carney's middle powers speech is actually really quite extraordinary. So that, I think, has had a very big impact here.
That phrase, spearheading discussions, contrasts sharply with tariff escalation. Carney prefers structured dialogue over public brinkmanship. He emphasizes predictability. He emphasizes institutional frameworks. He emphasizes long-term positioning rather than immediate retaliation. Where Trump seeks leverage through shock, Carney seeks leverage through alignment. This difference is philosophical. Trump believes bold action reclaims control. Carney believes steady positioning builds influence. When Trump introduces tariffs, it sends a message of resolve. Supporters see strength. Opponents see volatility. When Carney introduces strategic recalibration, supporters see prudence. Critics may see caution. But neither leader is passive. Trump reshapes the conversation through disruption. Carney reshapes it through repositioning.
We put tariffs on others. Others retaliated with tariffs back. So even if we managed to help some American firms, we then hurt others. We're now in a trade war. No one wins in a war. Everyone gets a little bit hurt. This is just a completely unsustainable and unhelpful set of policies.
This is where the debate intensifies. Trump accepts retaliation as part of the strategy. In his framework, escalation is not failure, it is leverage building. If pressure invites counterpressure, that simply proves negotiations are serious. Carney views escalation differently. He evaluates systemic risk. He calculates spillover effects. He asks whether the long-term architecture is being weakened. Trump thrives in unpredictability. Carney works to reduce unpredictability. And in today's global climate, unpredictability carries political weight.
The number of people who've talked about Prime Minister Carney's middle powers speech is actually really quite extraordinary. So that, I think, has had a very big impact here.
Carney's speeches reflect a broader worldview. He speaks about cooperation among stable economies. He speaks about rules-based systems. He speaks about reducing overexposure to sudden shocks. Trump speaks about sovereignty. He speaks about independence from external influence. He speaks about reclaiming manufacturing strength and economic self-determination. These are not minor differences in tone. They are different visions of leadership. Trump sees strength in asserting dominance. Carney sees strength in building durability. Trump frames economic strategy as competitive sport. Carney frames economic strategy as network management.
One of the things that we saw over 2025 and confirmed on the numbers released today is that Canada is no longer the number one U.S. trading partner. Mexico has taken that. And it doesn't really mean that some business in Ohio that used to send stuff to Ontario is now shipping stuff to Mexico. It means that business in Ohio is shipping less stuff to everybody, and it's suffering as a result. Beyond Canada being able to say, well, we're your number one customer and you should treat us better, what is the impact we're seeing as those trade flows change? And Mexico is now the number one receiver of U.S. goods, for what it's worth.
Let me go back because I want to make one point to my favorite Canadian friends over there, which is if you look at so much of what's gone wrong with American economic policy over the last year, it's a failure to understand the fundamentals of economics 101. And so my advice, if you want to fix the world's ills, is to go out there and learn economics 101 and not fall for these simple misconceptions and misunderstanding of accounting and the like. So the question you ask is a good one, which is the president has failed to achieve what he wanted to achieve, just like everyone told him would happen. But worse than that, right? So we put tariffs on others retaliated with tariffs back. So
both approaches have political appeal. Trump's rhetoric energizes voters who feel past systems failed them. He promises decisive action, clear lines, firm boundaries. Carney appeals to those who prioritize institutional stability and measured reform. He promises continuity, risk assessment, strategic foresight. Statements like this fuel opposition arguments. They suggest Trump's bold strategy may not deliver intended results.
I know my Canadian friends would like me to say yes, but the truth is that, you know, the folks, for instance, selling wine who've lost a major wine market, the wine industry understands what's happened. The Kentucky bourbon industry understands what's happened. But if you talk to regular Americans, there is simply so much going on over here right now. The idea that we could possibly keep track of what's going on with specific boycotts from specific countries when, you know, in the meantime, we're just invading other countries at the same time. I don't think it's having the broad-based political effect you might hope it's having. It is having very narrow and I think quite important effects. Folks in Kentucky understand what's going on with their bourbon sales.
But Trump rarely retreats under criticism. Instead, he doubles down. He reframes criticism as proof that entrenched interests resist change. Carney responds differently to criticism. He adjusts tone. He emphasizes data. He builds coalitions quietly rather than escalating rhetoric publicly. In many ways, this is a test of temperament. Trump's political brand is built on disruption. Carney's political brand is built on steadiness. Trump believes speed forces momentum. Carney believes patience preserves structure. Neither leader denies that global economics is shifting, but their solutions diverge. Trump seeks recalibration through confrontation. Carney seeks recalibration through coordination. And as policy debates intensify, their contrasting methods become more visible. One leader raises tariffs to signal power. The other leader raises speeches to signal strategy. One believes strength is proven by drawing firm lines. The other believes strength is proven by maintaining stable ground. Ultimately, this is not just about tariffs, it is about leadership psychology. How does a leader respond to perceived imbalance? With pressure or with positioning? Donald Trump chooses pressure. Mark Carney chooses positioning. The outcome of that contrast is still unfolding. But the difference in philosophy is unmistakable. Two leaders, two approaches, one era defined by tension between disruption and stability, and the world is watching which vision proves more durable.